Hello and welcome to the new twin turbocharged Mercedes-Benz C63 AMG. Hello peeps, so this is the new C63 AMG and this is an important car for the people in Affalterbach because this is the successor to the most successful car they've ever made. They made more than 40,000 of the last one because it was a cult. What have we got then? Well, we've got a twin turbocharged engine, controversial, we'll come to that in a minute. We've got wider tracks, we've got 510 horsepower in this S model. There are now two models, there's 467 in the normal car. Most markets get both, places like Australia only get the S, which is fair enough really. First impressions, what a lovely road car. This is the S model, it comes with adaptive dampers, three-way adaptive dampers, and a fully electronic differential, which can kind of behave like the M variable diff in an M3, so it can stay pretty much fully open or it can lock up. I don't know about you, but I think from the outside it's quite a conservative looking vehicle, particularly after the M3, which has got the big wide arches at the back. The body and white alterations are less here. We've got wider front wings, but the rear is pretty much the same. We've got the four tailpipes, but they're fakes this time with proper little pea shooters behind them. The strange thing is, when you get in it and try it, yeah, you get my gist. This thing is an animal. 1,650 kilograms effectively. It's not that heavy. It's got massive amounts of power and it's got vast amounts of torque and it's really, really fast. It's more of a muscle car than the M3 even. Steering is lovely on the road. Chassis is nicely balanced. Of the three-way dampers, I always leave it in comfort and I just keep it there. We haven't got a dual clutch gearbox in this one, so this is quite interesting. This is code M177, the engine, as you'll find out later on and you'll see in the cutaways. This works with the old wet clutch automatic or doctored automatic gearbox that Mercedes has had for 7 or 8 years now, and I think it's a nice package actually. It's a nice powertrain package. The shifts on the paddles are not quite as quick as a DCT, but they're near as damn it, and the shifts are smooth, and if you leave it in automatic mode at low speed, it's nice and progressive, and it's a very good balance. It's a monstrous powertrain. It's pretty frugal too, from the claimed figures. Yeah, this thing is pretty mighty, I have to admit, and it's so flipping fast. Now at this point you're probably a bit bored, and according to YouTube, when we look at the numbers we need to put some oversteer in, so we're going to go to the track later on, so Neil, stick an oversteer slide in now to keep the punters happy. Now people are inevitably going to make comparisons between this car and the obvious BMW. The BMW's come in for a load of stick for its motor, not the way it drives, but more specifically the way it sounds and the lack of emotion. AMG have pulled a blinder, I'm afraid. If you want a car, a small saloon or estate car with a really characterful motor, then this is the one. I don't feel you lose an awful lot over the old M156 6.2 litre V8. In some respects this makes an even sweeter noise. It pops and it bangs, and if you leave it in the loud exhaust note with this optional three-way flapped exhaust, it's pretty crazy. It's a lovely sound. They've worked very hard on that and they've had a complete result. I suspect it could swing it for some people. But it's a different car in personality. The M3 is a bit more taut. This is a bit more relaxed, a bit more of a muscle car. I suppose it's the classic M versus AMG dichotomy, and I don't think that's a bad thing. They're slightly different cars. I think it's probably a little less exciting ultimately, but when you get it wound up and it's sitting on that differential coming out of turns, wow, it feels mega. It really does. No four-wheel drive, so on a slightly damp surface earlier today with the three-way traction control set to the middle setting where it was kind of leaving a bit of slip, it was really, really exciting. It's a great cruiser too. Part throttle, it's nice and refined. Wind noise is pretty well suppressed. These front seats are superb, I have to say. The shell's good. You do sit a little bit too high, but only it's a couple of mil. I'd like to get right on the ground. But as a package, this thing is a weapon. How do you feel about the look of it from the outside? I'm interested, because I think the last C63 was a design icon. I just think it was a great looking, small muscle car. And I'm not convinced that this one is quite as well resolved, because I think that sort of scooped flame surfacing doesn't lend itself as well to adding width. But we've driven it on the road. I've told you how I feel about it, initial impressions. Let's go somewhere a little more controlled and see what it's like when you use all of the performance. But before we head out onto the track and destroy some tyres, sorry, I mean fully explore the C63's dynamics, let's have a good route around the outers and the inners. Welcome to the cabin of the new C63 AMG. I thought we'd have a look round here to divert us from the obvious sideways stuff that's either happened or about to happen, depending on the edit. And we will talk you through some of the bits and bobs. This cabin is controversial. It's a normal C-Class cabin, and people don't like this big thing that looks like an iPad that's stuck on the dashboard. I do, because I'm obviously aesthetically challenged. Visual trick, quite clever. The centre console's very wide. In this car, it's not carbon. It's a sort of basic piano black effect. And that gives the impression of it being wider inside here than it perhaps is. It's still a spacious car though. Steering wheel, pretty conventional AMG, just a light redesign. All these buttons are a little bit different here, and I don't like them as much. They're a little bit sort of Korean in feel. All this stuff is very high quality though, and we'll get down to the clever buttons down here that mark this out as an AMG. The dashboard, we'll have a fiddle through, and again with Neil, is great because it's got this AMG function. So you can basically go and click on your AMG, and then you've got all the toys to play with. And of course, being turbocharged, it's got a boost gauge. Who doesn't like boost gauges? This one sort of flicks up and down. And then when you're in manual mode in the gearbox, it's got some shift lights, and it's got all sorts of things going on. And you've got temperatures for engine oil, you've got transmission temperatures, there's lots of information. Most of it is really useful, some of it's just titillation for geeks like you and me, which I like. Now, the dynamic thing down here is quite interesting. If we press that button, you get offered all sorts of different things, okay? You can see here that we've got, on the dashboard, we can either have comfort, sport, sport plus, or race, and there's a mode called individual where you can have your obvious, your own configuration, and you can save it and come back to it as you want it. And most importantly, you can have every configuration of whatever you want saved in the individual settings. So you can have a very comfortable chassis with the dampers in full soft, but you can have an aggressive sounding engine and aggressive gear shifts if you want. So that sort of almost infinite adjustability is really, really cool, I have to say. I think it's a really pleasant environment. The seat is a good shape. The driving position is good. Both myself and Neil felt we were sitting a little bit too high. I think that's the same as the M3. I always feel I'm a bit too high in an M3. This one, just half an inch. It'd be nicer to be lower in the seat. But it's a high quality cabin. It's a very, very special place to sit. But what you now want to know is that this is the S model, and under there's 510 horsepower's worth of turbocharged V8. So let's go and have a look at that now. So here it is, the new Mercedes masterpiece. You've seen it already in the GT Coupe. It's exactly the same engine internally, but this time with wet sump lubrications, twin turbo V8. It's just wedged in there. So let's go and have a closer look at one that's been removed from the car. So Blue Peter style, here's one we made earlier. This one that's been popped out of the engine bay. This is the M177 by Turbo V8 that replaces the 156, the glorious 6.2 litre that we've loved forevermore. It's a really clever piece of packaging. Essentially, you've got two turbochargers that sit in the V of the V8, and then that means that it's cleverly packaged. It's not a big thing at all. In fact, pound for pound, it's a similar weight to the old M156, because you lose a bit in terms of the block because it's smaller, doesn't need to be as substantial, but obviously you gain weight for the turbochargers. The key thing here is heat management of the motor. Just in a stationary state, that's fine, you can manage that. And when it's got air flowing over at its speed, not a problem. The difficult thing here with the turbochargers as they are, is hot running, fast running, and then coming to a stationary stop. So imagine doing 250 clicks on the Autobahn and then stopping at a junction. You've got all that heat. Well, the way they've dealt with that is they've got a bonnet nostril that comes underneath the underside of the bonnet and directs cold air right onto those turbochargers when they're hot. Here's all your intercoolers. So this is basically managing the intake temperature to keep that nice and low for all the power. The difference here, and the reason this is called M177 and the GT's engine is called 178, is this is wet sumped, whereas the GT is dry sump to get it lower underneath that low bonnet. You don't need the dry sump in the saloon car and the estate car. Anything else of note? Well, this one shows where the dynamic engine mounts are. These are options. So they're that oil that you pass the current through, and they can alter the viscosity of the oil and then change the damping frequency. That really does make a difference in this car. Mercedes reckons that with those engine mounts, everything feels more stable around it. There's a lovely touch over here. Come and see this. You'll like this. Right. M177. So this is the new engine. This is the bi-turbo V8. You can see how much smaller the displacement is because this here is the lovely old M156. Look at the size of those things there. Okay, let me show you now. Piston from the old 6.2 V8, piston from the new one. Look at that. Hugely different, aren't they? Interesting here, a couple of things to note. For reasons of MVH, the chain is actually in the block, so the casting comes across and the chain runs inside it. Apparently that makes it even smoother, but it's a massively strong structure. This is built to withstand 130 bar of pressure, which is kind of outside the normal tolerances of a gasoline engine. It's getting on towards diesel pressures. So what does that tell us? That tells us that Mercedes means business with this engine. AMG are going to do more. I asked them how much power it could produce, and I kept saying, well, 650, 700, and they just grinned. But I think we might be seeing it in a racing car application sometime very soon, maybe even at Geneva. Another thing that's very important about this motor for AMG is noise. So let's go and have a look at how it makes its noise. Noise was obviously very important to all of those AMG customers. Anyone that's lived with an AMG V8 knows that V8 sound is really important. BMW obviously played some clever tricks with their inline six to try and make it sound good. Not all that well received by its punters. This car sounds great. The reasons are quite simple. Okay, up here, you've got a link tube. You've got a link tube here with a valve in it, or as they say, a flap. So there are 3 flaps in this exhaust system that can control the quality of the noise. In the old 6.2 engine, you didn't have a link pipe here, but they worked out through some computer modelling that actually linking here could cause some interesting effects. So effectively, what they'll do is they'll open and close this for the quality of noise, and you've got 2 flaps back here as well, okay? So you've got a noisy route and a quiet route. Have a look at this. Okay, so you've got an actuator here, you can see it's opened up. This bigger pipe here gives you some more noise, this one gives you less noise. And interestingly, all of it has been acoustically tested. For example, there are little slats in this pipe here, and they worked out that if you had 9 slats, you got a certain quality of noise, but if you had 7, you got a different quality of noise. So they've really tuned it like a sort of, yeah, like something from the brass section in an orchestra, and they've ended up with some really clever noise. So you don't really feel shortchanged at all over the old 6.2. Yeah, it's very clever. So this is the rear axle assembly of the new C63. It's new, it doesn't carry anything over really from the standard C-Class. You can see great big arms, it's very, very big and substantial. The thing you need to know is this big box of tricks here, okay? In the standard C63, you have a normal mechanical differential, locking differential. That's key. There's no open differential available on the C63 now. They did their research and they reckon for the dynamics you need to have a locking diff. So yeah, the one tyre smoky is gone. I like that because I didn't really like the old car with the open diff. In the normal car you get a mechanical one. In the S model you get this thing here. This is the fancy electronic one, which is really, really clever. It's just an electrical actuation, but it's constantly variable and it's really strong, made by Drexler. We first saw this in the SLS Black Series. This is a development of that, so it's better and cleverer. It means that in a braking zone, the differential can free up almost completely, so you've got it nice and open. That gives you the ability to turn the car, and then when you get on the power, obviously the thing starts to lock up to give you that traction, and of course it'll lock completely to allow you to do big slides like this. Neil, show them a slide now to show them how that... Yeah, you got it. Good, okay. Let's wander around and have a look at the front. Not a vast amount to look at here. I mean, again, all new, so bigger, stronger, sexier arms, massive optional carbon ceramics if you want them. The key thing here is the electric power steering, okay? This has been completely revised over the standard C-Class for obvious reasons to make the thing feel more direct. I mean, they're trying really hard, aren't they, all these manufacturers with electric steering. For me, it still doesn't quite give you what you get in a hydraulic steering. And of course, the GT Coupe has hydraulic steering, whereas this car has to have the electrical stuff. Again, it's just big, big, lovely bits of metal that are bespoke and special for the C63. Check me out. in my new C63 S Saloon. I like these cars, they're really exciting. Sorry about the whole munchkin face with the lid on. They are being quite safety conscious. Given the way we're driving the cars, I can sort of see why. This thing is a beastie. This is one of those delicious machines that looks relatively ordinary from the exterior and is an animal underneath. So, we don't have that much time. Usual show, let's do some straight laps and explain the base dynamics of the car, and then maybe we'll let it move around a bit and let the YouTube commenters say that it's totally irrelevant the way he drifts. I know it's irrelevant, but I just like doing it, all right? God. So, this thing's all about torque. Quite different in feel to an M3. I'm in 4th gear coming up a hill now. I know a month ago I was down here in an M3 and I was in 3rd there, so we actually need to use a gear higher because there's so much torque. Steering is quite light, not much life going on there at all, but then you get on the gas and it just feels so active with the back axle. This has got the slippy diff in it, this one. The car has a really nice fundamental balance. Obviously it understeers. It has to understeer a bit for, you know, for normal people. You'll find on the road that you'll have your traction control light flashing the whole time. I've got the systems off here. In the in-between sport ESP mode, or, you know, traction stability mode, it's quite nice. You can just lean on it and it's nice and progressive. I think they've calibrated that nicely. Likewise the brakes. You've got so many modes to roll through. We'll go through those in the static piece, but you've got almost infinite adjustment of dampers, of powertrain, of gearbox. This is Merc's non-dual clutch MTC. It's the wet clutch gearbox, but it's been taken to a new level, and I have to say, I really like it. It's not quite as fast as the best DSGs, but you know, it's not far off, and it suits the personality of the car. I'm going somewhere here with this, aren't I? Yes, this is a proper AMG. This feels a little bit muscle car-y, this one. If the M3 is a bit more taut and a bit more, I want to go really, really fast everywhere and round the corners, then this is probably back a few percent. And it's a personality that I really like. Oh, so down this main straight, torque just hauling us along. It's really impressive. Let's turn some of this stuff off, see what happens. Braking down this first corner in Portimao. So we'll be a bit sensible through that one, because I suppose one should. Look at that, it's already wanting to just, if you just back it in like that, there's just a lot to be had. This is interesting. This is torque for you. I'm down at no miles an hour. 3rd gear. Look at that, 3rd gear. It's pretty outrageous, isn't it? Pretty outrageous. I don't think people are going to bemoan the loss of the 6.2 V8. I just think this is an animal. This thing is a complete animal. You can do all of this stuff, and where AMG have been really clever is I think they've replicated the personality of their big, normally aspirated V8 with their turbocharged motor in a way that BMW probably struggled to do so. Again, look what happens when you get on the gas. It's just progressive. It's very easy, and it keeps pulling this motor as well, just as in the GT. Let's do a big fast one for a laugh. 4th gear. Yes, you've got to have quite a bit of torque to do that. Wow, what a thing. Back it in. I would say that the Michelin on the back copes very well, but it's up against it. The initial torque reaction of the rear tyres is such that, you know, you find yourself thinking, well, hang on a minute, they need to have a much bigger rear tyre on this thing. That's just rude, isn't it? That is just rude. God, this is the long one. We're doing this too much at the moment, aren't we? Look, I'll pick my nose. Wow. And now the fast one down the hill. Yeah, okay, we can maybe have a little go at that one, can't we? That's quite fast.
This is a more talented car than the one it replaces. It's faster, handles better, and uses a lot less fuel. Actually, that's worth mentioning. With the claimed 33 mpg on the combined cycle, the car now has some decent range, despite having to keep the standard 66-litre tank. To my eyes, it wears its muscle a little too subtly. But the way Mercedes has kept the V8 character and throttle response, it keeps pulling all the way to 7,000 RPM, is pretty special. Is it better than an M3? Look, I'll need a same place, same time test to say for sure, but I can say that they're quite different personalities, and it might just be that more people are won over by the C63's fantastically characterful motor.